have a lot of forms in this section. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the additional provisions addendum, and not a ton changed on this. Yet I still want to, excuse me, to go through it because not only are we talking about changes, we're also talking about when do we use this form and how do we correctly complete it. So you've got your property address, you've got your seller, and you've got your buyer. Again, as always, make sure that these are the proper names. Additional provisions addendum goes with as an addendum to the offer to purchase. So it would actually be attached under addendums as additional provisions addendum. And you can use the same one for vacant land or residential. There's not a separate one. So many times you see this used with, sorry, Cindy, that's okay. Expiration of offer, where agents will present their offer and it will have an expiration date on it. I caution you on having a offer with an expiration date for a couple of reasons. Let's say that there's reasons where you might use it. Let's say your folks are in town for a week or the weekend or whatever the case may be, and they have to secure a property while they're here. And so they want to do an expiration of offer. You'll also see it used many times when there's multiple offers. So it's kind of forcing the seller's hand. The buyer agent thinks to have their offer accepted before any additional offers continue to come in. And Cindy's shaking her head. I am of the same opinion. So just know that if you write an offer or receive an offer with an additional provisions addendum that has an expiration of offer, time is of the essence. So if it's not fully executed by that time and date, then it's not a valid offer anymore. Automatically expires. Yes. So, you know, it might be, oh, well, okay, it expired on 8/27 at 5 p.m. But everybody signed it on 8/27 at 6 p.m. The offer was no longer good when 5 p.m. hit.
They would have had to redo the offer and taken that off.
Correct.
And you extend that day.
So when we fill out this form, we can just totally leave the first information blank?
No,
Oh,
can't leave it blank.
okay.
This is an expiration of offer. You're saying my buyer wants this offer. This is why they want this house, and this is why we want you to accept it by this date.
If you use this form,
If
or
you use
this
it,
is not
I
a
would recommend it.
yeah, it's not a
Okay.
required
You don't even
form,
recommend using.
and I wouldn't recommend it.
If you're in a multiple offer situation as a listing agent, which I am a lot, and we have multiple offers, if you don't write a really good offer, bye, doesn't do anything.
So I'm actually submitting an offer today that has this condition. Because they want to act on another property if this one doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And our expiration date is Friday at 5 p.m. So
That's a long time.
now,
Yeah.
right, I mean, we're giving them 2.5 days to make a decision.
That's
Right?
different.
And it's different.
It's not like, oh, I give you 3 hours to,
And,
Right.
and if
Yes.
that was 2021.
Yes, for real. So there are, so Sherry, there are times when you would use it. You won't always use this form. So all the forms that we're talking about today aren't forms that you're necessarily going to use on an every transaction basis. These are just forms that are out there that if we needed to add something to an offer, that's what these forms are for. Okay. Number two, if it is contingent, we don't have contingent offers, but if it is subject to a septic system being installed or modified, this is where you would use this one. If it is if it's a rental property and you're waiting on, you've requested rent rolls, is where you would use number 3. Number 4, agreed upon repairs. This is probably the second most used of this form. And this would be repairs that we're going to agree upon with our offer. So we're not waiting until inspections or due diligence to negotiate. These are things that, oh, the upstairs bedroom window seal has broken. This is where you would ask, and the seller says, but we're gonna fix it. This is where you would say, yep, you are, because if you sign this document, you're gonna fix it. Something that is wrong with the property that the seller has either disclosed, indicating that they're gonna fix, or something that you or your buyers see that they want repaired. And it to be part of the negotiations of the offer, not part of the negotiations of repairs, because the seller does not have to make any repairs. So if they say the garage door is broken, but we've called the garage door company and they're coming out and they're gonna fix it, okay, I'm putting that in here. Garage door to be in full working order prior to closing at expense of seller. That sort of thing.
I've done it for decks.
Yeah.
I've done it for
Yeah.
lots of things. Yeah, I mean,
You 100% have to put that expiration on it.
No,
that's
no, that's a totally different one.
That's
You
This
don't
is
check-
not
We would
complete.
never do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, we're not complete.
Right,
This
but
form is used
Generally speaking.
for a multiple different,
Gotcha.
Whatever you would. do.
yes,
So it would,
yes.
you would just put an X by there and that would be the only thing that would go with the
Gotcha.
additional.
I got it.
yes,
Yeah, I feel better.
Use it for debts?
No,
decks. Yes, you said you used it for decks.
decks, like a deck.
Okay.
You know, a deck needs to be repaired, deck to be repaired with whatever. I mean, you can be pretty specific, there's a lot of lines there. So if there's something that you want to add to an offer, and you can't type it in the offer, but you can type it there, like, yeah,
Yep. It's the only place.
it's the only place. I
So like I had one recently submitted on offer, that the upstairs,
HVAC,
little nook above the garage, they had turned into a thing. What do you call that?
like a bonus room, a frog?
Yes, there we go. It was full of crap and like mattresses,
Oh, it
and
needs to be
it was
replaced,
like
be cleaned
all
out.
that to be cleaned out
Yeah,
of
you
the
can do
top
that.
room.
Yeah.
Removed, all junk,
Yeah, you can,
super clear so people know what
Yeah.
they're talking about.
kind of like that.
Yep.
It's a great way to kind of protect your buyer, because remember, once you go under contract, it's in its current condition, they don't have to do anything.
Number 5, if there is a manufactured home on the property, you would use additional provisions addendum to identify the manufactured home. Pool and spa inspection. This is just making it very clear who de-winterizes the pool, who re-winterizes the pool, that sort of thing, and who pays for it. And then offsite or separate septic lot, boat slip, garage, parking space, or storage unit. So we've talked about this. Most common in our area is offsite or a separate septic lot where you would identify that. And then, of course, everybody signs. Just a reminder, if the buyer or the seller are an entity, the entity is either the buyer or the seller, but a human has to sign on behalf of the buyer or seller entity. So, side note on that, heads up, you have to be aware in DocuSign, because you go into DocuSign and you put the seller's name in there, then it's taking those initials from the entity. And so you have to override that. You have to go in and change so that the initials are actually of, so for example, if I put Dudley Realty Group as the seller, DocuSign's gonna automatically come up DRG. But I need for
City Dudley.
LCD to sign.
Okay. So
Not-
I change it, once you put up to DocuSign, you change it and you put your name for the email. The other way, the entity part, I don't use entity when I set it up as a seller. Because if you don't, it doesn't populate at the bottom and you have to physically put it each initial. That's for listings, but
Yeah.
still, but I always change it and then move it to entity because I do a lot of those.
Yeah, so just be aware of those, because your file will get returned, because every contract has to be signed by a human. And they must be living.
You said that kind of interestingly. They have to be living?
Yeah, dead people can't sell property.
No, so what in the world?
Yeah,
Somebody put what? No.
Cindy, you wouldn't even.
Oh, you're the broker.
You
I
won't
would
even-
probably shoot somebody.
You would not even
I would shoot somebody.
believe
I could not be broker.
some of the stuff that,
Cindy, we were gonna ask you this afternoon if you'd be the broker.
Oh. Yeah, no, we
yeah, interim.
God. I've done that before, 6 weeks. Found too many things.
Okay, so,
Karen,
yes,
I had a question.
Yeah.
This is coming from, coaching. An agent was asking, hey, I've gotta have this check made out to, 3 different, sellers. It's an estate, situation. She's like, how do I confirm that this is real or not, that I'm doing this? I'm like, a little bit different on your side. On that side, that listing agent has done their due diligence, seen power of attorney type information, to know that's who you should be filling that out to. And she's like, how do I, confirm that? And I'm like, we don't really confirm that.
I mean,
Other than-
you can ask the,
Call the attorney and say, are you representing this client and is this?
well, you can ask the listing if they're, so number one, look in the register of deeds. Is there a will or
Okay.
power of attorney that is recorded in the register of deeds? Wills don't have to be recorded, powers of attorney have to be recorded
In the county that it's.
in the county
the
that,
county that it's, that the property is listed in.
correct, yes.
So they would be able to find that POA without contacting the agent to.
Or ask the
Or
agent,
just ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we're talking about entities and that.
yes.
Tickle something.
Okay, owners association disclosure. The biggest thing that changed on this one is that you used to only use this form for if an R codes wasn't required. Okay, so that would be vacant land and new construction, typically, with what you'd run. Now, if there is an owners association, this is a required form.
Really?
Yes,
Yes. I keep forgetting, because they don't have anything for RPD. You have to do this too.
yes.
Well, it is in the RPD.
No,
No,
Nope.
so this,
It talks about.
it doesn't have anything RPD. You can't check anything what what the
Yeah.
owners association.
Yes. So what this goes through is what all is covered
Yeah, and
in the HOA, which is not what is in the R code. So biggest change is that if there's an HOA, this form is now required, whereas previously it was not. There's also, so it identifies the associations. And then if there's more than one. And then, what's covered? Are there any dues, fees, or special assessments? Are there any unsatisfied judgments? Fees charged by owners association or management company in connection with the transfer of property to a new owner are as follows. So also disclosing what those transfer fees are.
You're hot.
I ran
Hey,
into,
Macintosh is 400.
and it's split between the buyer and the seller. According to the disclosure that I just received on this property that we're submitting an offer on, it's split evenly between the two.
Wait a minute.
In the offer, it says that the seller is responsible for that transfer fee, but so
But this doesn't even say. This doesn't say who's doing it. This just says
Right,
the
but
transfer.
they put, in other words, they put $400 to be equally
Oh,
divided
because
by.
it doesn't say who pays it. Oh,
Yeah.
where it used to be stated. Oh.
Well, it is in the offer to purchase.
under the
Oh.
seller's responsibility.
Yes. So there's part of it is the seller's responsibility, part of it is the buyer's responsibility. But the transfer fees are the seller's
So
responsibility.
when we list now, like in Macintosh, if we don't have this, we need to have this added. I think I have one that's not.
I've got a few, we were just talking about the same thing, we got a few that we need to add.
I'm getting a reduction on Falkirk. I'm gonna have to get them to sign this too. Thank you. That's why I still come to these, because it's all the new stuff.
Yes. Any other questions on owners association addendum? Yes,
I think I may have asked you this before. Is a condominium
did I?
treat the same as this? It's the
Yes.
Same ones, they're not separate.
No. It's the same. Yeah.
Another dumb question, are
No.
they deeded the same?
What do you mean?
Single family HOA would be deeded the same way as a condominium? Deed was?
Enforced, yes. So in other words, so the HOA, whether it's single family or whether it's a condominium, are gonna be recorded for that property. And the deed is gonna be subject to those restrictions for that.
So the deed is essentially the same,
Correct, yes,
and this form would be the same
yes.
for both properties.
Anything that has an HOA. Yep. All right,
Place aware that, like, it gets cold in here and we need heat.
It's just they're right the way they're set. It's just a little bit. It gets hot in some of the rooms and, it's just hard. It's so hard to bet. And it's also a weird time of year too. It's kind of cooler outside.
I'm
So we
up
just got
here
less
needing,
Josh.
needing my fan.
Yes,
on.
yeah.
Um. Yay! Speaking of.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's in house. Right? Yeah, thank you. I just didn't have it. Thank you. I didn't really want to walk back. My feet hurt. Tops of my feet hurt from the shoes.
Okay, next form is agreement to amend.
Oh, is that fine?
And so the forms that I'm giving you are the, hi, Cindy, I'm sorry, I know, I go right around and I forget. The forms that I'm giving you are the highlighted forms with the actual changes. The ones that we are reviewing on the screen are
Are not.
what the forms
Right.
actually look
Right.
like now. So if you see differences, that's the reason why. So agreement to amend, there can be multiple agreement to amends. That's why up at the top, it says, which number
Oh,
is it? So you can have agreement to amend, number one. And then, so let's say that, okay, first thing that we had to do was, we had to remove the buyer. We had to remove one of the buyers because they couldn't qualify for the loan with both parties on the offer to purchase, on the contract. Only one of them had money, the other one had bad credit, was pulling that one down, so we gotta take somebody off. So that's the first one that we had to do. Okay, so we call it number one. And then we make that change, everybody signs. And so then let's say at, at a later date, the buyer wants to extend the due diligence period. So we can come down here, we can extend the due diligence period, and the seller says, I'll be glad to extend that due diligence period if you give me some more due diligence money. So right above it is the due diligence fee. So those can be changed. Okay, so let's say that we get through that one, everybody signs it. So that would have been number two, agreement to amend number two. And now we did inspections. And the seller's not willing to make any repairs, but they're willing to give a concession to the buyer for repairs that need to be made. So that can be done in one of two ways. It can be done through expenses, or it can be done through a change in purchase price. Talk to the lender to find out which is, because if it's expenses, if they're already paying expenses that you negotiated at the beginning, if it exceeds the amount that the lender will allow, then your buyer's going to be SOL with that money. And so it may be more beneficial to do a price adjustment as opposed to changing the amount of closing costs. Does that make sense? Okay, so that would have been number three. Agreement to amend number three. Now, the buyer's lender went on vacation and didn't answer their phone for a whole week. And so now we're not going to close on time. And it's going to be even beyond the 7 days that the offer to purchase allows. So now we have to do a settlement date extension. That's going to be agreement to amend number four. So do you see where these all can stack up on top of each other? So don't. Yeah, you just
change
whatever
that
you're
name.
using for the next.
Do 4 different ones.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
do
you
have to
do.
do 4 different ones.
Yeah.
So you do amendment one,
Oh.
because you do that as amendment one, then you do the same thing
And
as
then
amendment
on
two.
Another one. So
You get
have
another one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you
4
can't,
separate
you
forms.
can't
You
change this, no.
can't commingle them all.
You can put as many of them as you want
It's all
to
at the same time,
on at the same time.
but it
Yeah,
has to be signed and dated.
but think about
As long as it's done the same
Day, yeah.
time, yeah.
You could remove the buyer name and do due diligence expiration or
Yeah, 2
something.
different changes on here.
Yeah.
It'll be addendum one.
Right, if you're doing
As long
the
as
same
it was done
time,
at the same
same time with the same time and date, yeah.
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 One thing I
So-
want to make sure of though, is make sure that when you go in to change that in DocuSign, that you take off all the other things that you've already done on number 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, for the original form, you just have to update, kind of like an agency renewal,
Correct.
same thing. You just have to remember in DocuSign where you are.
So if the
That's
first
nice.
one, was
Like, say, change the price or something.
So we remove the buyer on
Yeah,
number
right,
one.
yeah, you-
Okay, so see, that was the next point I was gonna make is you don't have to wait until, because a lot of times what people will do, they'll be like, well, let's just wait until due diligence or until we, something like that. Well, no, if we know we need to remove the buyer, let's go ahead and remove the buyer. And then when we get to because then we may not need anything else. I just kind of gave you a worst case scenario of where you might have 4 different forms. But you can put multiple, because just like you can say, okay, we're extending the due diligence period and we are giving, the buyer's gonna give some more due diligence fee, and while we're at it, let's go ahead and extend the settlement date too. You can put as many on there as you want to, but just don't don't get caught in a deadline by trying to wait where you only have 1 form. That's the reason that they put the number at the top, so that you could number them.
Good to know.
You can change the escrow agent.
Why would you do that?
Well, because maybe Ashley Carter's so backed up,
She doesn't work on Fridays anymore. No more
Yeah.
Friday closing.
yeah, that she can't get us in for the closing.
And so I had to change.
So that's where you, might change your escrow agent. It happens sometimes.
I do to be determined, especially if you don't have earnest money. Is that a, because if you don't have earnest money, you can be determined. I put TBD.
Yeah, if you
Because there's
don't,
no escrow money, like you would need to
Correct.
name it
If
on the
there's-
form, if there's
earnest.
earnest money. I'm
Yes.
sorry, no escrow money.
Yeah,
earnest money.
yeah. Yes, you can put TBD or buyer's choice or that sort of thing if there's no earnest money. If there's earnest money, you have to identify who that money is coming to on the offer to purchase. Any other questions on agreement to amend? Agency agreement and renewal. Why might you need an agency agreement and renewal? Give me,
Well, expiration, that listing's getting ready to expire, you gotta extend it.
yes,
And the listing agreement
Yes.
is, you know, it's,
and how long does it have to be extended for?
there's no, you can extend it for whatever.
Yeah, but what's the guideline? The agency agreement must extend to, I didn't forget you this time, to the date of closing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I always
Yes.
do it I always do it 7 to 2 weeks afterwards, just to make sure that if anything delays.
Yes,
Start to the
yes,
date of closing.
Yes,
Yeah, I didn't quite.
If
Yeah,
you
maybe I
want
didn't
it to
answer.
go under contract and the closing date is gonna be this and your expiration during the contract, you better get it extended.
yes, yes, absolutely. So, we always want our agency agreement to extend at minimum 2, if not beyond. A lot of times agents are like, oh, well, it went under contract, but it's gonna expire. My agency agreement is gonna expire. I'm not gonna worry about it. You can still get paid. The difference is you can't represent your client. So when that agency agreement expires, let's say that we're 5 days from closing and we are in a battle with some negotiations going back and forth. If your agreement if your agreement has expired, then you're
Can't make
standing
any
over
change.
in the corner.
Can't make any change.
Well, you can't advise them.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
so the importance of making sure that we are getting these extensions.
And I need this because I'm getting ready to change compensation firm's fee and I didn't know how to work, how
Yes,
it was gonna happen. So here it is.
yes,
This is new.
yes. So this is a totally reworked form.
This is awesome.
It's similar on the
licensing?
top, yes, on the top. But now, and before it was just like an open free-for-all form, just whatever you wanted to change. So it has, an extension. It also has, I need to change the compensation. or the firm's fee. I need to change the cooperative compensation.
Well, wouldn't you, if you change the cooperative compensation, wouldn't you have to also change Form 220?
Yes,
And that, and Form 220.
Yeah, I've got a closing that's gonna be 3 months from now. Now, as I look, and my listing expires on September
So
15th.
you need to.
Yeah,
go ahead and extend it. Don't wait until September the 15th. Just go ahead and, you know, get it extended through, the date of estimated closing. You can also use this form to change agency as well. It used to be a totally different form for that. Now it's on this form. So where might you use this? This is where, this is a lot, what I see a lot of. So, okay, Cindy has a listing, and I'm gonna pick on Cindy because she and I just had this conversation
Yes, we did.
about this. And, Cindy has a listing. She has her client initial that the client authorizes the firm to practice dual agency. And the next line under that, they initial, the seller does not authorize the same agent to represent them. Okay, so that's the line that they initialed. Jim brings an offer on Cindy's listing. And I know this because I know what Jim's paperwork looks like. I mean, I look at this stuff every day.
I'm
So-
not very good.
No, yours actually has been pretty good lately. So Jim's authorizes the firm to act as a dual agent, and then his buyer initialed authorizes, does not authorize the same agent to represent and directs the firm to practice designated dual agency. Okay, so Cindy's paperwork has to match Jim's paperwork.
We're inside.
Yes, so now when Cindy submits her paperwork in command, I'm gonna send a note back to Cindy that says, please use agency agreement.
To amend.
To
the dual agency
amend.
To designate it.
That's correct.
And I'll jump on it right now because I hate my paperwork when it's not.
Yes. Yes.
I'm one of those.
So, just, you know, remember, I wish they would not have put that line in
Yeah.
there at all, because it's not that it's wrong, it's just, number 3, the
It's
third
the
one
best
is
one.
the best one. Yes,
And in the listing paperwork.
yes.
Which she's referring to.
Uh, and then, of course, you can, change the listing price on here, and any other amendments. This would be, you know, that seller is, offering a $2,000 bonus if it closes prior to X date, or seller is offering 5,000 in, fire closing costs, or 5,000 flooring allowance, or anything like that, that might change what the original was.
Here, and if there was like a bunch of equipment on a property that the seller was gonna either give to or sell to the buyer, is this where you would put it, or you put it on a bill of?
Bill of sale.
Yeah, yeah.
Bill of sale in the
Yeah.
documents now, in
Yes.
DocuSign, there's a bill of sale.
Yes,
There is,
Yes.
yeah. I
yeah,
just noticed that the other day when I
Yeah.
was looking.
that's a new document that came out in January.
Yeah, bill of sale, so you. We should. I'm gonna look at my computer.
Any other questions on this? So this is a one pager, but there's a whole lot of things that we can change on this one pager. You're fine.
Now they're gonna be in the know. There's a lot of agents that aren't in the know. The same.
Yes. This form, statement of agency relationship and compensation. So, we kind of ran into a situation where a lot of, mostly we ran into this with the track builders. Where they were requesting a copy of your buyer agency agreement. Well, we don't share buyer agency agreements. So, because there may be confidential information on a buyer agency agreement that the seller does not need to see. So this form, was created so that you can send it to the builder to say, yes, I have an agency relationship, because, you know, they want to see that to make sure that they are going to pay you, that you aren't just popping up afterwards. So that's what this form, that is really the only thing that this form is used
For
for.
builders.
Mhm,
And some builders have their own forms.
mhm. Yeah, so if somebody asks you for your buyer agency agreement, this is the form that you send them.
So this form would only have to be, signed by the agent because it says optional client signature, so the client doesn't have to sign it.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right. Now we're gonna get into these new terminations. So we used to have 8. We got rid of 4. And now we're gonna go over those forms. We actually only have 3 now. So the first one we're gonna go over is notice of unilateral termination from buyer to seller. What does unilateral mean?
One.
Well, it means that one person tells another and it means that it's terminated.
Yes,
Like. you
So,
don't have-
only one person.
Signs, you know.
yes, yes. So the first thing, we're terminating the contract, the date of the contract is, and then number 2, why is the buyer terminating? Can the buyer terminate during due diligence period? Yes. Property is not substantially the same or better condition? Yes. Lack of governmental compliance. So we found out that it couldn't be used for what it was advertised as being used for. Seller's delay in settlement and closing beyond the time permitted. Yes, buyer can terminate. And then they can terminate if they are the backup contract. They can also terminate under the short sale addendum. They can terminate under the FHA VA addendum. That would mean property did not appraise and they're choosing not to move forward with purchasing the property for the FHA VA. They can terminate because they didn't receive R codes and MOG. They can also terminate if they did not receive the vacant land disclosure. So this form is used, so the reason we used to have 8 is because we had 1 for vacant land, 1 for residential. Now this one can be used for vacant land and residential. So those are all that a buyer can unilaterally terminate the contract. So you see, there's two more boxes down here. I would like for you to stop reading right here. We do not want to, go below the line, so to speak. So buyer gives notice of termination and alleges that the seller has breached the contract. If your buyer absolutely wants to sign that, they need to consult with an attorney.
Which one?
Buyer gives notice of termination and alleges that seller has breached the contract.
Oh,
Yeah, so anything below that,
that's legal.
we don't, yeah, it is legal, yes. Buyer gives notice of termination without providing a reason after expiration of the due diligence period. And then buyer does or does not agree to release the earnest money deposit to the seller. Again, try to stay above the line. It only requires the buyer's signature unless the earnest money is being released to the seller. If the earnest money is being released to the seller, then the seller signs under the release of earnest money deposit.
What? Where is it?
Alice, can you mute yourself, please?
Oh, I didn't know. So
Okay, so the next one is notice of unilateral termination from the seller to the buyer. And you'll also see that there are not as many reasons for the seller as there are for the buyer. Yet there are occurrences where a seller can unilaterally terminate the contract. Up here.
Usually because the seller can't, there's no clear title. That's what I've had.
So, number one, buyer's failure to timely deliver the due diligence fee or initial earnest money deposit following written notice from the seller. We just had one of these happen. So this is where the seller can unilaterally terminate the contract. Buyer's failure to timely deliver any additional earnest money. Written notice is not required because additional earnest money is time is of the essence. So that one doesn't have to have a demand for funds. Buyer's delay in settlement and closing. And then the seller's right to terminate under short sale addendum. Again, this is where we stop reading because everything underneath those next two boxes are legal. Attorney. Seller gives notice of termination and alleges that the buyer has breached the contract. Seller gives notice of termination without providing a reason. That's going to be a doozy right there. Again, seller, if you want to check that box, then you need to go talk to an attorney before we check that box because that could be some major consequences there. And then also, so again, if the seller's unilateral, then it only requires the seller's signature unless the earnest money is being released, and then it requires the
Karen,
yes.
under the legal ones. if
Yes.
Seller chooses to terminate and he selects one of those, he's not gonna give a reason, but he's willing to give back buyer, any funds that the buyers has put up. They, and maybe there's another form that's gonna save it.
Probably be another form that would be better used
Okay.
for, yes. So think of this form and the previous form in that, one party wants to do something that the other party doesn't necessarily agree with, but the party has the right to do it. So, the next one is, a termination agreement. This is mutual. Okay, so we use this form only when both parties have reached an agreement to terminate. So the seller says, I want to terminate the contract and I'm willing to give the buyer back all of their expenses, due diligence, earnest money, all of that. And so then the buyer says, okay, well, we agree to terminate if you do all of this for us, if you do all of this. So that's where it's a mutual. So that's where we would use, termination agreement. Buyer and seller agree that the contract is hereby terminated. And then we're going to talk about the rest of it. So, except as provided herein, buyer and seller release and forever discharge each other and their respective successors in interest from all claims, demands, rights, and causes of action of whatsoever kind and nature arising from the contract. So they can't sign this agreement and then 2 months later, sue for damages. So this is it. This is all you're getting. So buyer and seller, they can agree how the earnest money is going to be dispersed or not agree. If they agree, here's how it's going to be dispersed. If they don't agree, then it just goes back to what the contract says in regards to earnest money. And then that's where it goes to the clerk of court for one person to dispute. Number 5. Highlight number 5. Make sure you read and fully understand anything that might be written in this line. We have a complaint with the Real Estate Commission in regards to this. However, it was on the old form and the form didn't allow you
To put in.
to put anything, yet it was still put in there. Agent wasn't looking for it when the termination was sent. And so her seller signed it. And
They're looking for, so the buyer is looking for something different. And the agent didn't catch it.
no. So that's why I'm saying, when you're looking at one of these forms, make sure, yes,
Sometimes
yes.
I have to print some stuff out because sometimes on the computer, if you don't look at it right, it's hard. So sometimes I print
Yes.
stuff out.
Yes, and sometimes when you look at it on your phone, when you're
No, not, oh.
when you're in a tropical island and, yeah, then, yes. So again, because a buyer agent can write anything they want in here. And if they say return the due diligence money and the seller agrees to it, this is the third way in which due diligence money gets refunded to the buyer. If the seller said they would. So this is where, again, Carrie, like you were saying, we're gonna give back the due diligence, we're gonna refund them any inspection costs, that sort of thing, can now be put in there.
Now, does that need to be spelled out what exactly they're
Costs
returning,
are.
or just like the dollar fee?
So I would very specifically put, due diligence fee of and inspection costs in the amount of, yeah. Yeah, I would separate those out to make it very clear
Yeah.
that part of that money is the due diligence.
Yeah. Due diligence, especially, yeah.
Lender fees.
Whatever it is.
Depends on what you've already paid, like appraisal fee, like the
Yes.
upfront cost that, you know. I've had one seller have to terminate in my career because they couldn't perform.
Yeah.
And they had to, and then the agent came after me wanting their commission.
Yeah.
I said, why didn't you close?
Yeah.
Close. Don't earn, you didn't earn it.
One other, so, on the FHA VA financing addendum, the only thing that really changed there was just the verbiage under, VA that just essentially says that it, complies with VA, whatever, yeah, the VA guidelines. Let's see, we talked about everything else. Oh, here's a form I wanted to show. I'll be interested to see how many of you know this exists. Closing guidelines for the seller. So this is a checklist of, so you can take this and incorporate it into your, Cindy, it is, standard form 170. You can take this and,
Oh, I'm gonna send, I have somebody I need to send it to right now. Yeah.
Hold on, everybody.
Oh, my, 170?
We'll wait.
yes, yes. So, this is a reminder. This is a checklist reminder for your seller. So again, you can take this information and, extrapolate it, make it pretty into, you know, something that you use with your branding, whatever else. But this is just, reminding them to leave all utilities on.
Maintain the lawn, that's huge. They forget to know.
Yes, do not terminate your insurance coverage. And then it goes through fixtures, personal properties, repairs, unpair any devices. Again, we talked about that's a big deal. Remove any fixtures that were exempted, leave all non-exempted fixtures. Don't pack the generator if the generator was supposed to stay. Don't remove the hot tub if the hot tub was supposed to stay as part of the contract. Remove all personal property that's not a part of the purchase. It means all garbage, debris. You know, how many times are sellers like, oh, well, I'm gonna leave these rugs for the buyer. The buyer doesn't want your junk.
And then you end up taking it.
Yes.
Good, I think.
But now I'm gonna bring this out. It was just mentioned earlier that you're buying the house as
As
it
is.
sits. And so if they don't remove something, it's not like,
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you know, but that's the whole thing is that how is closing delayed? Because the seller left too much personal property.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just that reminder that unless we agreed upon it, then it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be sure to check the attic, the crawl space, the shed. Any trash that does not fit in the designated trash bin should be removed from the property. Do not leave it at the curb. I mean, we laugh, but it's because
Oh,
people
we
do
laugh.
this.
Oh, no, they do it. I've had to
Our
clean up.
Yes.
Take everything out of the garage. That's our problem. You end up having to remove it if you want to close.
When removing wall art, nails should remain in place unless you and buyer have agreed otherwise. If you want to offer things like extra paint, light bulbs, etc. to the buyer, then inform your agent. We're gonna leave some extra paint and some light bulbs and whatever in this one specific place. Complete any agreed upon repairs and provide receipts to your agent. Repair damage caused on move out in a good and workmanlike manner. Notify your agent upon completion of any repairs. Mail, leave a forwarding address. Change your address for online retailers, magazine subscriptions, bills, etc. Set up a permanent change of address with the post office. You can do it online. Retrieve any extra keys from neighbors, friends, service providers, family. Make sure there's no like extra keys floating around to the property out there. Retrieve any removable garage remotes from cars. Leave keys for buyer that goes to any mailbox, padlock, shed, crawl space, attic, screen door, pool fence. Leave those. And then terminate all automatic payments related to the property, such as mortgages, HOA, dues, alarm systems. After closing, terminate all service contracts such as yard services, pest treatments, gas, oil, propane, fuel refills. Leave any manuals, warranties, and extra components in the home. Leave a list of service providers for the buyer, cleaning, HVAC, pest, irrigation, pool. Empty the ice bin from the freezer and turn off the ice maker. Why would you want to do that? Kevin, you could probably, I was gonna say, Kevin probably has,
If the power goes off, and ice is gonna melt.
Oh,
and
it's
gonna end
awful.
up
And the
all over
water and
floor.
I.
yes,
If
and
it's a
it-
wood floor, it's a
It's
problem.
awful. I've had that happen.
Or they
before.
didn't move in it for a while. and
right,
Yeah, it's
Get
awful.
mold. or-
yes,
That's why
Yeah.
you always do a walk.
yes, yes. And when you dump the ice out, don't dump it into the sink. Dump it outside.
Why?
Yeah, do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I'm
on
just
that?
asking why.
So, well, I mean, I think there's probably a couple of reasons. So let's say that it wouldn't happen in Florida, of course. But let's say that in North Carolina and you move out in December, and what was it, like 2 years ago, on
Oh.
December the 8th, when it was like
Freezing. and
8
bad.
degrees outside or
Yeah.
whatever. And so so it could freeze. Yeah. Just throw it outside. Did you have something else, Kim?
I think it was the same question.
Oh, okay. And then make sure you remove your lockbox and your sign.
Nothing's worse. Oh, you forgot your lockbox. It's still on the door.
Hey, we had a call where they said, the lockbox has been on there for 2 years. Did you leave it on there for 2 years
No one had.
after it's closed?
Yes.
On people?
no one-
So
Sorry.
this is,
I just sent it to my client.
good. Well,
I just did it.
Yes.
Yes. So
Cindy, I'm so excited you learned something today.
I did learn. I have notes. Like all these, like I didn't, I have one. He just called me back and I now know where I can put it. Cause I was like, but we'll have to do a new form, but still, where is it? Cause he wants to change both and I know we couldn't go back.
Yes.
So this is
Yeah.
perfect.
And this is just a bonus form. Again, like I said, I didn't know if you guys were aware. Again, perfect form to use it in the condition it's in, or make it your own, brand it to your own. Hey, Sam, did you know about Form one
I
seventy?
believe it's new form. Is it new?
Mhm.
Oh, it is brand new. Okay, well, that's probably. the vote. Closing guidelines. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for being here. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, closing guidelines for your seller. So we were just saying, you can use it, it's a checklist for your seller. You can use it as is, or take the info and brand it to your brand.
But it's not like a required form.
It's not required, no.
But it's good, like the brand
It's
listing
helpful,
form and get it.
Yeah,
So Karen, let's go back to the amended. what-
same thing, 170.
the agency renewal form.
Yes,
So Jim was in here and he had a listing that expired September 15th.
yes.
If you want to continue that in MLS, I know in Dorify, and it may be the same way in Triad, but if it expires and it doesn't close till after that expiration date and you want credit for it, you have to put that in as a new listing.
Yes,
At that point,
that's correct.
right? Is that in both or just Dorify? Okay. So it's best if you can catch it to get the extension before it expires.
Yeah, so let's say that you changed it from active to pending.
Yeah.
Or due diligence period, or whatever you changed it to. And then that contract fell through and you changed it back to active, the expiration, and you didn't,
It already expired.
then it's expired,
Yeah.
yeah,
And expires out and you have to provide, or you have to put a whole new listing in.
that's correct,
In that process.
yes.
Like I said, I knew that was that way for Dorify. I wasn't sure about.
Why, are
Yeah.
they- why won't they at least allow the broker to go in and extend it, rather than having to re-input everything?
Well, yes, because, so in other words, if it expired on, and I know Jim's coming up, which I would like, go ahead and get the extension, but if it expired on August the 15th, okay, for example, if it expired on August the 15th. First, and that's what I was talking about, you can't represent that client anymore after August 15th.
So
Even though you're under contract.
And we're gonna.
So, and, oh my God, it fell through. Oh, let me get an
170, I just sent that to a
No,
customer.
because
Thank you.
now it's August, it's August the 27th. And it expired on the 15th. It's 12 days later, so that's why we gotta.
Yeah, I thought I recorded contract.
Right.
What do I do for compliance?
Put some kind of a note in there, like, just make or, yeah, I mean, you can either do that, or, like if you do it off of exclusive, have a form that says not entered in MLS, that you can load, just a blank, so just like type up something that says, buyer paying compensation. And load that in there, and that way I know, that, I look at so many, I can't, and I'll try to remember, but I might,
I'll do that. This seller has made things super complicated. Oh, no. Just being like, hyper aware of everything that Wolf he says.
yeah.
Referencing something.
Well,
No, I didn't have to.
yeah, that's,
Never know who you're gonna be.
I think it's just.
Yeah.
He thinks everybody's trying to do him over.
Like,
You know?
all I know is I've been to two of your areas recently.